This is Pastor Tim from Bend and Alameda United Methodist Churches in Central Texas. We're two rural churches that are doing a pretty good job of ministry. We want to invite you to be part of that. We have a podcast live stream at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, and then this podcast, as well as other things that you might want to see on the Bend UMC Texas website, and join with us in praising God. We're sharing with you some general themes of the Bible, great themes of the Bible, because I think it's better when you start out, when you don't know what you're beginning to read. It's good to know the general themes of the Bible so that you can place any particular scripture in a context and have some kind of understanding. So that's why we're doing this podcast. It's not a deep dive. It's just a beginner's information. So we're going to talk about incarnation today. Incarnation is when the divine becomes human. In the Greek mythology, the gods became human beings. They took on flesh, but it was usually to do mischief, to cause trouble. We have a God who takes on flesh for a different reason. This first example of that, we have God walking with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. He had to take some kind of fleshly being existence on to be visible and walk and talk with them. Later on, wisdom takes the form of flesh, usually in the female kind of expression that shares the wisdom of God. In other times, it talks about how when the people were in the wilderness, the Hebrews were in the wilderness the 40 years after Egypt, that God was tented with them, that God, through his tent in their midst, took a incarnation, a kind of a presence there. Of course, the greatest incarnation that we believe in is the one of Jesus Christ. That God took on flesh, that Jesus did the opposite of what Adam and Eve did when they grasped at divinity. Instead, Jesus let go of his power and glory and took on human flesh so that we could know what God was like. We could know what God wanted from us. We could know how the best way to live life is. That's the miracle of Christmas. Somehow the divine and the human got together. We've discussed how that happens, or in what way, what mixture that has, in what ways is human, in what ways Jesus is divine. But I think the experience of people with Jesus said he was something other than other human beings were, that they experienced the holy, they experienced God in Jesus. And that's why Jesus, in expressing who God is it makes connections with us so that we can be reconnected with God. So the whole idea of incarnation is to reach out, for God's reaching out to us, to include us in God's kingdom. So that's why God incarnates, so that we would understand. We need a picture to understand. That'll do it for this week. I hope to see you next week.